Let's make a super simple pizza at home from scratch. Look at that beautiful pizza. Start out with washing your hands. For the crust, we're going to use 1.5 cups of bread flour. And to that bread flour, we're going to add 1 packet of active dry yeast. Now that 1 packet will work with up to 4 cups of flour if you decide to expand the recipe. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of salt. I'm going to heat up about a cup of water to 100 degrees or so, and that's not hot enough to burn your finger and it's not hot enough to burn the yeast. Stir up your dry ingredients and then add the hot water and gently mix this together using a rubber spatula. The less mixing you do, the more of a tender crust you'll have. And I need to add a little more water, and now I've got a little too much water, so I'm going to add a little bit more flour. And you can adjust this recipe until you get a dough that looks good to you. Once that's mixed thoroughly, I'm going to put a cover on this using some plastic wrap. I'm just going to poke 1 hole in the cover so that the yeast can breathe and set that on the counter for 15 to 30 minutes to rise. Now let's make a sauce. These are the ingredients in my sauce, and I'm going to use about a half a teaspoon of each one of these ingredients to a large can of tomato paste. Start out with powdered sugar, salt, onion powder, Marajam, basil, and you can use fresh ingredients if you have it. You'll need to use quite a bit more of fresh ingredients. And this is the pizza spice, oregano. Whoops, I added a little too much, and that's okay. Black pepper, garlic powder or fresh garlic if you have it, and then grind these ingredients together. And now I'm going to add the tomato paste. Again, this is a large can of tomato paste. And I'm going to heat up some water to almost boiling. And I'm going to measure it in the tomato paste can so that I have a ratio of about 1:1 water to tomato paste for this sauce. You'll see the dry ingredients float to the top as I mix this. Mix it real thoroughly, cover it, set it on the counter for 30 minutes. There's no cooking required for that sauce. Let's preheat the oven. I'm going to put my pizza stones in the oven. This is a critical step. Having a pizza stone is what makes an awesome pizza. These pizza stones are going to store the heat and dump it into the crust as the pizza bakes. Preheat that oven to around 500 degrees. And I'm going to use sausage on this pizza. I like to pre-cook the sausage, and I use about 1/3 of a pound. And I'm going to cook that on medium and sear it. The rest of this sausage I can wrap up in plastic and stick in the freezer for another day. Now as that sausage starts to sear, you can break it up into nice rustic bite-sized chunks. I'm going to refrigerate this dough after it's sat for about 30 minutes on the counter to slow down the activation of the yeast. And here I'm going to saute some mushrooms on low. And I'm going to add a little bit of oil, a little bit of garlic, and a little bit of water. And just let those mushrooms simmer on medium-low. I'm going to chop up some onions. Mushrooms are done. Slide them to the back of the stove. Chop up my green peppers. And now I'm going to shred some whole milk mozzarella. Shredded cheese contains silica to keep it from caking. I want this cheese to melt together really nicely onto this pizza. I'm going to use some baking paper. This is parchment paper on one side and aluminum foil on the other side. You could also use one of each if you didn't have this dual paper. This makes it real easy to assemble the pizza, real easy to slide it in and out of the oven. And this is the simplest method I've found to lay out a pizza dough. Just put the dough on top of the baking paper, put some plastic wrap on top, and as if you were giving a massage, just work the pizza out into the shape that you want. I'm going to make a round pizza here. And I like a real thin crust in the center section and a larger, thicker, bread-like crust towards the edge for this particular pizza. So I'm just going to keep working that dough out towards the edge and making the pizza larger and larger. This is going to end up being, about a 12 or 13 inch pizza when I'm done. So just keep spinning it and working that dough out. Once you've got the pizza worked out to the size and shape that you want, you can remove the plastic wrap real carefully, real slowly. And if you have a little hole in the pizza, you can repair that with some extra dough. You could pull it from the edge of the crust, or I happen to have more dough in the bowl because I'm going to be making more than one pizza here. And now you'll add your sauce. And I add about 3 heaping tablespoons, maybe 4, depending on your taste. Spread that sauce around the pizza. Next, I'll put on the sausage, which has been pre-cooked and drained of grease. This pizza is going to be half sausage. And I'm going to put some mushrooms that have been sauteed all the way around on this pizza. The ingredients you choose are up to you. Some fresh chopped onion. And some fresh chopped green pepper. I'm going to go around the edge of the crust with some olive oil, or you could use melted butter. This is going to help the crust brown, and it's also going to hold some spices. I'm going to put some powdered garlic around the edge of this crust and make it like a garlic bread crust. I'm also going to add some large ground pepper to give it a rustic look, and some oregano. You can almost never have too much oregano on a pizza. Oregano is the pizza spice. I'm going to go around the edge and sprinkle that oregano on there, and look at how beautiful that looks. Now it's time for the fresh shredded mozzarella. And I'm also going to add some shaved Parmesan cheese. This melts real nicely along with the mozzarella. You could use provolone, you can use all kinds of cheeses. This one is simple, just mozzarella and Parmesan. And now the pizza stones are searing hot. They've been soaking in that oven at 500 degrees. And I'm just going to slide the whole pizza and the baking paper right into the oven. Make sure that baking paper doesn't curl up into the oven elements and start a fire. You can tear the square edges off of the pizza on the paper if you want to avoid that. I'm going to cook that pizza for about 9 minutes. Every 2 minutes or so I'm going to rotate the pizza, because the ovens typically run hotter at the back than they do near the door. Another 2 minutes, I'm going to rotate the pizza again. Now I'm going to look under the pizza, and when I see it getting nice and brown on the bottom, I'm going to broil the top of that pizza for 1 minute. And I'm going to turn it under the broiler to get a nice even browning of the cheese and the crust all the way around that pizza. Browning the cheese is key to giving flavor to a pizza. And now I'm ready to take the pizza out. I'm going to let it cool for about 5 minutes before I cut that pizza. And now it's ready to serve. You can use a knife or a pizza cutter to cut it, cutting all the way through the crust. And there you have it. Super simple, homemade pizza.